Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to day 2 of the Rise of the Rebel Matriarch Leadership Summit. It is the day that we meet the mother, and I've got two incredible mothers here and co-authors of the Rebel Ma Healing in the Time of the Feminine book that we wrote together. We have Monika Weiserová. Sorry, I hope I didn't ruin that on you, my love. Monika is a mindful and somatic movement teacher and holistic consultant living here in Bali with me. And she is juggling all the performance focus. She is a really, really powerful voice on, rushing through life and living in a world based on consumption and money is challenging for everybody. She's juggling all the performance focused tasks and emotionally and spiritually based engagements. This led Monika to a vision of a world where everything is in balance. And with her radiant personality and enthusiasm for wellness shining through, she began practicing and teaching body and mind, including Pilates, yoga, and meditation. Her unique way of conducting sessions will hit you with a wave of energy, motivation, inspiration, and positivity as she dedicates herself to every client's successful and joyful journey through their transformation. So she holds retreats, programs, and sessions in person here in Bali and merges masculine and feminine currents into an absolute equilibrium, helping women unfold their true essence. And her deepest wish is to bring women back together and create a beautiful community of empowered, divine feminine goddesses that we all are. And she has lately been exploring and curiously playing with various feminine arts, blending her expertise in pelvic health with womb awakening energy work and the power of the divine feminine. So I'm very excited to have you here today, Monika. Thank you so much for joining us. And Hannah Mama Sky is, of course, back with us today for another roundtable. And she's a facilitator of the deep feminine. She brings her work, the depth of her journey as a woman. She's a witch, a healer, a space holder, a retreat leader, and a channel, a powerful poet receiving and reciting rhymes to guide us through these times, a voice of a generation standing up for what is right, imagining a world where every woman and girl is free to thrive. Mama Sky founded the Waking the World movement, a movement committed to our collective awakening, sharing life-changing retreats and ceremonies to wake up forgotten and lost parts of ourselves, reclaiming our sovereignty and realigning us with our soul's true purpose. She is also the co-founder of Poetry for the People, which is a poetic revolution and movement encouraging and inspiring poets to stand in their light and shine. She lives in service and has been working in the healing and wellness world for over 20 years. Hannah now holds womb healing and empowerment retreats for women and birthed the Waking the Goddess in 2017. In 2018, she was called to the mountains where she studied at Dalhousie Midwifery School to become a birth doula and activist. And Waking the Witches was a vision of Hannah's while pregnant and was birthed a year after her beautiful son was born. The magic healing power and potency of these retreats continues to touch the wombs of the world and offers deep healing for the collective and rising of the divine feminine. So beautiful. We have some serious divine feminine goddesses here today. And it's very fitting to have us here to, talk about, we must also hold the space for Aimée O'Neill, who was supposed to be with us here today, but had an injury. And she's very passionate and, co-created this beautiful workshop, roundtable panel discussion on fuck the bounce back mentality, obliterating motherhood myths and calling in empowered matrescence for all mothers. So today we will be jamming on, why mothers are still pressured to bounce back as if motherhood is just a detour. And it's a society's obsession with bouncing back that trivializes the monumental transformation of matrescence, the journey that reshapes a woman's body, mind, and soul in motherhood. This mentality denies the empowering, lasting changes that matrescence brings, urging mothers to shrink into outdated versions rather than expand into the fullness of their new identities. So, what we want to do today is dismantle this bounce back myth and honor motherhood as a rite of passage, a process rooting us into our ancestral gifts and redefining mothering in today's world. These physical, emotional, and spiritual transformations are superpowers and not something to fix or fit back into. So we declare together as a collective, fuck the bounce back. We're going to break unrealistic expectations, embrace the beautiful, constant evolution of motherhood. And this is the revolution that the world needs, a supportive space for mothers to see every stage as a collective rite of passage with power and purpose. So I would love to hand the mic over to you, Hannah, to discuss and just, explore that rite of passage of motherhood and what it has meant for you. And I know that you have made, you've made big, bold moves to kind of remove yourself from society's expectations, to say fuck you to the system that tries to keep us in boxes. And and what that means, and maybe at what cost too, in terms of really taking ownership of your life and how you want to do motherhood.
I always knew not only how I wanted to birth, but then how I wanted to show up as a mama. I witnessed, like, through the bounce back mentality, that in society, that like mothers are, it's just part of this bigger separation game, like the importance of birthing and then being with your child and growing with your child. But it's almost like that there's this, they call it a dyad, like the sacred dyad, the bond, and it's the intrinsic bond between mother and child. And it's almost like they're trying to separate that from young. And this then creates a depression and a sadness in the mother, and also an abandonment wound in the child. Because, and I witnessed this, and I didn't want that, and I didn't know how I was going to make this possible, but I knew that I wanted to create a life where I could be at home with Aimée as much as I possibly could, while nurturing and creating my dreams for women and the rise of the feminine. And yeah, no, it definitely hasn't been an easy ride, but I am in a very blessed situation here in the mountains. We've set up a home where I am able to hold my retreats, and I am able to spend as much time as I can with Aimée and not be forced back into the world and away from him, and not witness in those early years. Like, it's so important, like what they're absorbing, who they're around, where they are. Like, and he's so much just to see that him in the nature, just to watch him go on the dog walk and pick a pomegranate tree off the tree and eat it, and be able to identify like rosemary and lavender, and like to witness this, things that I definitely didn't know when I was 3 years old. And yeah, I just feel so blessed that I am able to show up like a mama like this. But it's not supported in society. It's so mothers, and especially solo mamas, there is no support for mamas to be able to do both, to be the mother they want to be, to breastfeed for as long as they want to, and still step back into creating their dreams. Because after you've birthed, if you've birthed in this empowering way, you're like a force. You're like a force to be reckoned with. And if mothers were supported through that time, what then could we create? Like, we'll change the world, and we are in which the ways we're mothering. But there's a massive lack of support for mamas. And I don't know if it's coming through the maidens, more support from the maidens, more support from like creating a village, communities where mamas are supported, especially in those early, not even months, like years of mothering.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge lack of support for women, even living here in Bali, and I see a lot of the women who are forced back into work, like nearly almost so soon after birth. And I guess coming from a Western society and a privileged place, I worked in a corporate, and I got maternity leave for a year in both of my jobs, and I got paid while I was off, and I was in a really good position. But both of those times that I got the time off work to be with my babies, like, I did not want to go back to work, you know. And more and more it was like, hold on a minute, why would I be going back to a corporate job to build somebody else's dream, to get paid a wage that I'm just spending on bills, you know, and putting my kid into a daycare where I don't get to actually, you know, spend time with her, and I'm just using my wages to pay for this fucking system, you know, that's stacked against both of us, and it's not serving any of us. And it wasn't easy to break out of that. Like, it took me time. You know, my first daughter, I did have to put back into a daycare setting when she was 1, when I was to go back to work. And I obviously only went back part time, but it was my second child then that I was like, there is no way I'm doing that again. Like, I just can't do that. It just didn't feel right for me. And the more I awakened, the more empowered I became, the more sure of my own path and my own gifts, and continuously doing the healing I needed to do to be able to get out of my own way, to trust in the visions that I had in my heart, to be able to step up and hold space for other women. You know, it was all a process and it took time, but we had to leave Sydney and move to Bali, to a country that was more affordable, you know, where we could access some support, where the kids could go to a nice nature-based play school, so that we could go all in on our dreams and live a life of more, you know, balance and ease, I guess. And that obviously option is not available to everybody. Of course, it's not available to everybody. And I feel very privileged that we can do that, you know. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's really important that, you know, we are doing what we want to do and finding ways to do it, even when it's hard. You know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows and paradise and beach clubs here at all. And, you know, you make big life decisions in order to be able to stay true to your values, in order to say fuck you to the system that is trying to keep us enslaved and trying to disconnect us from the truth of who we are, and from the needs of our children, and tell us, you know, tear us apart. And yeah, there is a cost involved in some of the big decisions that we make, but when you know that they're the right decision for you, for your family, even when most of your other family will believe that it's bad decision and the wrong thing to do, and you have to stand in your truth, you know, that's really where the magic is, and the potency for the mothers to be that wolf mother. And no, this is what my family needs, this is what we need, this is what we're going to do in order to stay true to, you know, the soul of our family and what it needs to happen at this time. So yeah, I love that, you know, we get to do this, and we get to be able to I guess, disrupt the systems in this way and be role models for others, to show what is possible when you do think outside the box, when you do make big life choices to, you know, stay aligned to what it is you really want to do. And Monika, tell me, you also have, you know, made big moves and are in, you know, trying to find a balance in life and trying to disrupt the system. Tell me a little bit about the work that you do and the choices that you've made and the path that you were on to be more present and available and, you know, for your family.
Thank you, Saoirse. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So first of all, thank you for having me. I am really happy to be part of this discussion and share my story. So why this topic is important and interesting for me, it's from my experience. I was lucky to have from my country, we get 3 years of maternity support from the government, which is amazing. And of course, it's nothing like a lot of money. It's just that it covers your expenses and for the baby, and it gives you kind of like peace of mind, and you don't have that anxiety that you really have to rush, and you know, you can take your time, especially for the first time moms. I think it's great because in my own experience, it took me a long time to realize what motherhood is and really settle and really find the same frequency and the same vibe with my son and really feel it in me. And even though we have the support 3 years, I was rushing when we come back to Bali with my 3-month-old son. We came back to Bali from Czech Republic, and I was rushing to start working again and start teaching and do Pilates and sharing also with my postpartum journey. And it was like 5 months after my son was born, and I felt that urge. I felt like I have to be again back the one that I was before I got pregnant, the fit and then the strong woman, the independent one, the one that has everything, um, under control. So I tried, but of course, after a couple of classes, I realized it's not working. It's just like, it makes me feel more messy, and I couldn't feel it. I couldn't get into it. I was worried, of course, because I was away from my son for an hour or hour and a half. And it was just like a lot of emotions coming up, and it was just not right. So I canceled that idea. I stayed at home with him, and I was working on really more finding out what is this being mother, and how is the feeling of it. And I took my time, and I'm really happy for that, because I realized that this bounce back mindset that we have, it's just another additional anxiety for us, and we don't need have that mindset. We don't need to be the same like we did before. That would be step back. For me, it is the transformation, and motherhood is like, or this leave, this time that you are at home with your baby, it is the opportunity to take the step into a transformation in your life, and maybe see it as a growth, see it as something new, because you will never be the same like before. Like, from my point of view, as a movement teacher, as a Pilates teacher, as somebody who works with bodies, literally, your body will never be the same like before pregnancy. The changes, hormonal, mental, everything that we've been through, it's the biggest thing in a woman's life, and it will never be same. So it will be a really step back, in my opinion. And that's what I also always say to my clients. You don't want to be same like before. You don't want to bounce back. You don't want to be the same size, the same whatever. This is the step forward. And to learn, embrace that process, and of course, changing through the body, through the spirit, through the mind. Of course, it's very individual for everybody, I would say. But yeah, I don't know why I feel more us who are coming from countries or continents who are more wealthy or developed. There is this urge, or there is this pressure to come back into that period of your life when it's kind of like a peak. So it's like this, I don't know, 35 years old, 30, 35, it would be like, like, this is your best years, and then everybody needs to come back to that best times. Like, if we should be ashamed of aging, or of, being more experienced, that's what we should embrace. That's what we should, looking forward to. And yeah, so that's what I got to say for the start, I think.
Yeah, it's so true. And we will never bounce back to how we used to be, and we shouldn't want to.
No,
You know what I mean? Like, to try
exactly.
and get back into those jeans. Like, I can't even wear jeans anymore after having a bloody children. Or, I used to wear jeans like thongs, and I couldn't now. My husband slags me for the granny pants I wear, because they're comfortable and I don't care. It's like whatever is comfortable and easy. But they do say there's a lot of science now. Matrescence is like this rite of passage, like adolescence. It's like, going from an adolescent to, or, you know, a child to an adolescence and matrescences. But so many women aren't actually informed about that. People do not know that this is a time that is a rite of passage. It is an initiation. It takes time to learn
Exactly.
how to be a mother. It takes time to become the woman and the mother that your children are asking of you to become, you know, and there's so much emotion attached to it. There's so much guilt, there's so much doubt, there's so much fear. You're literally wearing your heart outside of your chest forevermore, you know, and we love these little fuckers so much. We are absolutely mad about them. But like, you know, we lose touch with who we are, and when there isn't the village to teach us that, you know, this is a transition, and that we get to let go, we get to surrender, we get to accept the season that we're in, we get to allow the transformation to occur, you know, we get to like be the butterfly, I guess, you know, where it's an initiation, and this caterpillar is going to grow butterflies at our wings, you know, once she moves through that process. But the support isn't there, and we are left in these situations where, you know, we're exhausted. You know, mothers are so depleted, and our energy is taken for granted. You know, we are literally, our emotional labor, it's just expected of us. You know, our expertise is questioned, but yet we're supposed to innately know the answer to everything and think it comes naturally, you know. And we're like literally so many hours of labor that is not even thought about. And, you know, we're not just tired. We don't need just another course to fix us or to make us feel whole. You know, we need a whole societal shift. This patriarchal mother, which is like a system that makes us question our worth, that makes us doubt our judgment, that makes us ignore our needs, that makes us continuously think that we need to give more of ourselves and abandon ourselves in the process of all of that. And it's just something that really needs to shift, and really on a global scale, on a societal scale, and for us to know that, you know, we are inherently worthy, that our value is infinite, that our energy is infinite, that, you know, our worth should not be measured by our output or our productivity, and that our, you know, our wisdom and our intuition cannot be outsourced, and we do know best what for our children. We are the intuitive matriarchs of our family, and nobody can fucking take that shit away from us, you know. So I'd love to hear, you know, what you believe needs to shift on a societal level and on an individual level. I guess with the rebel matriarch journey, it's about taking ownership, you know, it's about taking radical responsibility. And we can only change what's out there externally when we take ownership internally about how we're showing up, about how we're not allowing ourselves to be depleted, you know. In the sense that we are not a resource to be depleted, and that we need to be valued, we need to be supported, we need to be heard. And we're all in the work of holding space as practitioners and as facilitators and as space holders for women. We are here to hold space for them, to remember their inherent worth and their inherent value. So how would you, you know, what would you say to mothers out there who are filling from an empty cup, who are, you know, abandoning themselves in the truth of who they are, who are feeling guilty constantly if they do go on retreat? Like, I know I met Monika at a retreat, and I felt so guilty about being there because my daughter didn't want me to leave, you know, and she was really upset about me leaving, and I felt awful. It was like the longest I was ever going to be away from her. It was going to be like 6 days away, you know, and she's 6, but I still felt like, oh God, I'm the terriblest mother to choose me to go off and just dance around in a shala with loads of women, you know. But I said to her, Via, this is going to make me a better mom. You know, this is going to make me a better teacher. This is me learning how to facilitate the work that I do on a deeper level. And I know that you're going to miss me. And, you know, I remember when my mammy would go to work, and I'd get really upset and sad too. I wouldn't want her to leave, but, you know, I'm definitely going to come back, and I'm going to come back even better than I left. and you're gonna be glad that I went away, so that I could fill up my cup, so that I could learn new skills, so that I could come back and be, you know, a better mother to you and a better teacher to my students. And you know, she understood that. Then she let me go and I felt better. But like at the time I was like, oh, for God's sake. And my husband didn't step up quick enough to, like, you know, hold the space or distract her. And I was like a mess leaving. And I felt like this fucking didn't need to happen, you know, if we had just planned it a little bit better. But the reason why I'm saying that is, I guess, I was beating myself up then for leaving on a bit of a bad note until we got to a space where it was a good place. But it was really stressful when you choose yourself, you know, to get you choose yourself, and then you have to actually go to the place, and then even when you're there, you're worried and you're emotional and you're feeling guilty and you're missing them and you're questioning everything. You know, there's not really, you can't actually let go, like the way that fathers can walk out the door and they don't have to think about anything again, you know. So I don't even know what my question is. There's just a little bit of a remembrance about, you know, when we choose ourselves, it can be quite difficult and uncomfortable, but you know, it's definitely going to give us it's definitely for our benefit. So I guess, yeah, what I'm asking you is some tips or tricks to the women watching this about how they can disrupt this patriarchal motherhood, and, you know, and choose themselves so that they're showing up and not just bouncing back and not just doing what society expects them to do.
I am absolutely with you on that retreat thing. With my son, the same. I felt guilty. I felt like I'm a terrible mother. And then I realized that it's all process and it's good for him. It's good for me. And exactly like you said, I knew that I do it because I will be better after. And I do it for something to um, grow for myself and for my family. So what I would recommend to other women, just to really join the community and step out of that fear or anxiety or this bubble that you have when you are mother, especially with small babies and first mothers, this kind of like bubble that you feel like that is consuming you, that you cannot step out because then you feel like your baby will die, you know, this kind of like instinct that we have. Step out of it. Don't be afraid. Trust yourself, trust your baby, trust your husband, trust your partner, and really make time for yourself, because then it's gonna be the real you. It's gonna be the you who you want to be for your baby, who you want to be for your partner, the one that he fell in love with, you know, at the beginning, not the one who is, you know, stressed and consumed by all the emotions and hormones and everything that is happening. And we are going through so much. Like my friend once said a really powerful thing to me. Like my friend from Australia, we had some argument and we didn't talk for some time. And then suddenly, after several months, she sent me a text saying something. And then I just asked if we are okay or whatever. And she said, yes, as women, we are going through so many stuff all the time, so many transformations, so many initiations, so many, you know, everything, that is normal to have an argument. It's normal to, you know, step out and then be quiet or be just with you for some time. So that's something that really resonates with me. And that's what I also would like to share with, you know, the other women, to give them the advice. Really just step out of the situation, to connect with yourself, to feel with yourself, whatever it means for you, to go get your manicure done, to go just walk on the beach, to go shopping, to, you know, go for a retreat. just do it and go through that process, and it's gonna be very beneficial for everybody from my own experience.
Absolutely. What do you say, Anna?
Yeah, just hearing it all, just bringing up so much and taking me back into those early days of mummering and breastfeeding and being alone here in the mountains. And it gets to a point when you find yourself asking if you can have a shower, and then realizing once you're in that shower. And I remember just crying in the shower, being so grateful to be in that shower and have that time, and realizing that actually we don't necessarily need even so much time. But I think what lacks in the beginning is, I think it's important that in that day that mama gets a chance to like tap out, check out, even if it's for half an hour, that she goes for a walk, she picks up her book, she has a shower, a bath, a cacao, she's just on her own to recenter who she is. Because I definitely witnessed not doing that in myself, and how you struggled, and you get to a point of just utter exhaustion and exasperation, like nothing makes sense anymore. But then you go and have that time by the river, you get in the river and you have that cacao and those moments alone, and you're just like, yes, you go back in then, and you go back in even after that short time, and you just like, oh, you feel so completely different. And then having that on a larger scale, like this year with the Rebel Ma book launch, that was the first time Emirates was free that I'd had my ever first night away. And yeah, you feel, like you said, the guilt, and can you leave them, and will they be okay? But I also found it so liberating. I always traveled alone before becoming a mama. I traveled the world alone, and I'd really forgotten that part of myself, like how much Hannah just loved getting on a plane and chatting to someone, or getting a bus and going into a bookstore and having a cup of tea and reading a book. Like I was like, wow, like this was me before, and remembering those parts of yourself. And I just felt so enriched and empowered and nourished. And then to go back into mothering, like having your cup so filled, I think that's in what I've witnessed, like how you're then mothering, from an empty cup, and you're still breastfeeding, and you literally feel like you're wasting away, and like your boobs are now like empty sacks of potatoes and you've got nothing left, literally. And I would literally imagine going to just then or drink loads of water, and I'd fill myself, like even from the water, just literally refilling my cup to be able to go back in and be the mama I want to be. And that do call on your sisters, like on the lead up to this last retreat. And I've learned a lot from mothering and creating, and where I burn out and when it's important to pull your energy back in and ask for help. I called on a sister on the lead up to this retreat, and honestly, she's still here and she's leaving next week. And I'm like, like the support of the mother, to have that sister in the home, and that just walks in and just sees that you need help washing up, or to cook for you while you're like breastfeeding and chasing around after them to get dressed. Like there's so many aspects of mothering, just witnessing, and the difference of having even just an extra pair of hands in the home, and how much more balanced and harmonious everything has felt because of that support. And just I think mothers, they think we're not, my mum, I do feel we're from that past generation of, they just got on with it. They're always just like, well, we just got on with it. And I'm like, yeah, but look at you now, like you're broken, you're in your 60s, and you're medicating yourself to almost like try and survive from when you weren't supported then, and when you struggled then, and when you were depleted then. And then the knock-on effect that I see that on my mum and my aunties, and that, yeah, what the bounce back and just get on with it mentality has actually done to the feminine as a whole. And how just from, yeah, your sisters, like asking for support from your sisters, and carving out that time in a day or in a week, or building up so like you have like a retreat to fill your cup, so you can go back and be the the mama and matriarch that you want to be for your child and for your community. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, asking for that help is so important. We don't have those villages anymore. We don't have the elders and the grandparents. You know, we're all living, well, us three anyway, are living away from our countries of origin and our families of origin in order to be able to live a life that is truer to ourselves. But then that leaves us with no family support, you know. And that's the case for so many people in this day and age. We all kind of live away, and it's finding those communities and those spaces and places where you trust to give your kid, or you trust to, you know, ask for help, or you have someone to even ask for help. I know for Aimée, who would have been on this call, she is a solo mama, you know, and she's got a different experience to us again because she doesn't have somebody there that she can call on, and that must be, you know, exhausting on a whole other level. I know that I had a mother, my mother was a single mom, and she worked, you know, and she really she worked since, well, I think she didn't start working until we were 4, so she was around for us in those early years for the when we needed her. But I still only ever remember her working, you know. I only ever remember her being a really hard worker, and she loved her work and she loved what she did, and and she was good at it, and obviously she needed to provide for us, and we wanted for nothing. But at the end of the day, I still remember my memory of her is like working really hard to provide for us, and us being raised by the village, my aunties, my uncles, my grannies, everybody was you know, taking part in being there for us so that we weren't alone in any way. But we obviously don't have that these days now, and a lot of it is kind of left for us to hold. So it is about asking for that support, and, you know, and checking in on the ones that you think are the strong ones and you think don't probably need the help, and they do, because they're trying to hold it all together and they're afraid to ask for help. And that's a big wound for the feminine. You know, when we're speaking about feminine leadership, it's about actually being able to receive, or in what ways do we reject the village that is there for us, you know, or what ways do we cock block ourselves from receiving the support that might be available to us. And even for me, you know, I spoke about this previously a little bit, you know, being able to receive the support of my husband, to not be out there working constantly and stretched and stressed, trying to juggle motherhood and running a business and being a present and emotionally available mother, and, you know, holding a movement and doing all these things. But, you know, it was making me less, it was just really, it's a lot to hold sometimes, you know, when you've got a big vision and you also want to be showing up as a present and emotionally available mother for your children. You know, it's a conflict. You're kind of constantly in conflict with what is right, and that guilt. And, you know, sometimes the guilt is trying to tell you something, and sometimes it's just like, well, I have to do it right now, and I need to get my support systems better in place so that I can do what I want to do, so that I can continuously, you know, do the work that I'm here to do, and also be there for my kids. And when I'm not there, know that they are looked after and they are happy and healthy, and that I don't need to feel guilty about it, you know? So so yeah, that's what I think in terms of the fuck the bounce back mentality. Have any of you got anything like left to say, to share, any tools or tips or tricks that we can leave our peeps with?
I would just add, maybe to conclude this discussion, don't bounce back, bounce forward, really, because it's about progression, it's about new beginnings, it's about, yeah, the cycle is still going on, and it's not stepping back. So having this mentality, bounce back, be same like before, or do it fast, don't taking time for yourself, it's just like you said, not gonna benefit you, your family, your kids, and it's just gonna create anxious vibes. So yeah, see that opportunity, see that step to go forward, and use it.
Yes, absolutely. Anna, what about you?
Yeah, fuck the bounce back. I love what Monika just said about the springing forward, and the mamas need mamas. Mamas need mamas, and if you're feeling like a lone mama, like creating a woman's circle, a mama's circle in your area for your sisters, and bringing it to you. If you're feeling like alone and unsupported, like just putting yourself out and creating it. And I think you'll be surprised just how many other mamas like step forward, and then just being together, having those circles together. And then from that, I just, the power when women gather and when mothers gather, and then how can those mothers like here, how can we support each other? Who needs us to go around and put the music on and clean the house for that mother because she's single mothering that week? Who needs to cook for this mama because she's just had a new baby? Like, how can we support all the mothers around us and in turn be supported ourselves? Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. And motherhood is hard and people don't talk about it enough. The highs and lows, like it's literally a roller coaster, You could be 1 minute absolutely fucking lost in the eyes and the smiles of your babies, and in another minute you're on the floor because like nothing is going right and they're literally, running rings around you, no matter how conscious and aware you can be, every day is a journey, and it's about having grace and patience with yourself and with your I guess, yeah, just how you're showing up, and not beating yourself up constantly for not being enough. Your children chose you. I really do believe that our children chose us, and that we are the best mothers for them. We're going to be the best mother they've ever had because we'll be the only mother they ever had. That was that my friend gave me when I was a young, early mama. And yeah, it's really, really true. We do need other mothers to be able to share our truth with, to be able to say how fucking hard this is today, and to not be gaslit and not be judged and not be fearing that, like, it's really important to be able to feel like we can just speak our truth, and even be truthful with our kids sometimes. I'm not mollycoddling them either, and I want them to know, like, sometimes that their behavior is unacceptable and I'm not going to stand for it. But the other thing that we really need to normalize as well is mother rage, anger, that I know that I have had, and I'm sure every single one of you do. Like, there is an element of mother rage because you're just so overwhelmed and so all consumed with like the day to day, mothering, and the weight of it and the toll it takes on you, and we've got to be able to release that anger in healthy ways. We've got to find ways to be able to transmute it, to release it, to work with it, and yeah, just to be able to, I guess, be with it a little bit without shaming ourselves and making ourselves feel like really terrible, like we're the worst mothers in the world for getting angry. Do you have anything to say about mother rage or anger or anything like that? Because I think it is a big issue that not many people talk about.
Mother age is real. You
Yeah.
go, Monica.
No, yeah, I wanted to say the same. It's real. I've been there, and it's just about time. For me, it was just about the time to calm down more and more and find out that it's not a way. So yeah, I'm just using the breath as a tool to really deep inhale, exhale, and or leave the room, and just take it easy. But at the beginning, yeah, I had a couple of situations that I surprised myself what emotions I can have and what I can do. Yeah. But now it's good. It's real, yeah, like you said, Hannah.
Yeah, it's so real. I think in mothering, it's like in birth, it's like you're pushed to the edge of what you think you can take, and then you're pushed a little bit more. And I think with mothering, like every day is such a journey. You never know, like you say, one day you're staring in the eye and you're like, well, I've created the most beautiful divine child of light. The next, like yesterday, Emrys was hitting me and trying to shove a Christmas decoration in my mouth, and while like pulling my nipple, and like there's so many things happening. You're just like, sometimes you're just like, and I'm still, you know, and still breastfeeding, and then just noticing in the witnessing when I need to tap out, when I actually need to say, Mummy can't feed right now. I haven't got, you know, the energy. I'm fit, because I can feel myself, you know, I can feel myself feeling angry, but not necessarily at anyone, just because I haven't got anything left to give in that moment. And I know then that I need to tap out. I need to walk the dogs. I need to go and have a shower and be on my own. So, because I can feel that like rage building of just in the frustration of just the not have feeling like you haven't had a minute to breathe. So then going to take that minute to breathe and take what you need so you can come back in a calm and centered space. Because yeah, you're pushed in a way, like, and you never, you know, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
So unpredictable.
Absolutely, it is. It is. It's an absolute roller coaster, and you know, it's that whole. It's just that the whole thing that, you know, we can't. It's yeah, you just have to keep rolling with it, and you keep on to allowing yourself the grace to be with what is, and you have to take the time that you need to be able to come back to your center, you know, like you would in birth and anything else, and learning tools like tapping, like nervous system regulation, and like really setting up, you know, rituals for yourself. Not even like extravagant rituals like you might have had before you had babies, but just taking a shower for yourself, you know, and even though that could get interrupted too, and that adds to our frustration, but it's like just trying to take the time when you can, and choosing you know, you can't go wrong when you choose you, and that is true. So we have got to disrupt it. We've got to, you know, make sure that we are claiming what we can, and supporting other mothers, you know, who are finding it hard and who are not supported, and trying to bring back a sense of sisterhood and the village mentality to those close by to us, and to those who need us to be a voice for them too, which is what we're all about here. So,
And
yeah.
especially the solo mamas, because when I'm struggling, you know, when we're feeling pushed and we're feeling exhausted, I think of the fucking solo mothers and think, fucking hell, like how incredible they are if we're feeling like this with some support. Like, yeah. So, and if you know a solo mama, go around and do her washing up, go and hang her washing on the line, go and play with their child for an hour so that it could have a shower and a cacao.
Yeah, absolutely. The solo mamas need more help than anything. And you know, it's this is the society doesn't support them, and I know Amy's very passionate about speaking into that too. Even the motherhood communities don't support solo mamas the way they should. They kind of gaslight them, they leave them out, you know, they say things that really offend them, and I've been one to say things that offend Amy because I'm not a solo mother, so I don't understand the complexities and nuances and intricacies of being a solo mama, and what can hurt, and what, you know, what is the reality. So, you know, it's about being careful and asking them what they need, and how that you can. And sometimes, you know, if they're not going to say that, you show up for them anyway in other ways. And yeah, I think it's important. So today, if everybody watching this just reaches out to a solo mama or a mama that they know is struggling or holding a lot and juggling it all, and just lean in and be some support for them. And that's how we say fuck you to the system, because we're taking our power back, and we're we're, what's it called, localizing the support structures rather than depending on anybody else to give it to us, because they are not designed to support us. It's by design that they're trying to deplete us and disconnect us from our power and from our intuition and from our energy sources, you know? So yeah, I think that's it today, girls. I feel like we have covered a lot of ground, and yeah, really beautiful to have you on. Thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to hear more about what you've got to say, girlos?
Oh, Hannah Mama Sky on Instagram. I speak and share a lot on there, from poetry to ceremony.
Beautiful. Monika?
Yeah, you can find me in Bali and online on Instagram. You can find me under Gradual Movement. And yeah, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, girls. Thank you very much. That wraps up day 2. Meet the Mother.